showtime here at 54 Below at Sea as we proudly present a great friend of ours traveling throughout the world with his comedy. Please help me welcome to the stage the outstanding dance of Kevin Devine.
Thank you very much, and thank you for stopping clapping so quickly. Well done. Well, I hope I can live up to your obvious high expectations of me. This is scary. Before we start the show, I just want to say one thing right from the beginning. Tonight is a Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, Theresa May free zone. I'm the only comedian tonight, don't worry about it. Right, we'll just move Victoria Beckham over there. So, hello! Hello! I am so excited to be here, ladies. Do I look excited? Yeah. Genuinely excited. I'm going to tell you the reason why, apart from going to work at this wonderful 54 Below Sea venue, the other reason I'm genuinely excited is this afternoon I received an email asking me to be the opening act at a U2 gig. Isn't that cool? Thank you very much, thank you. What great reunions those German submarine crews do have. Well done, joke one. Right. And it's so nice to get to perform on such a classy ship, a classy venue, and to such a classy crowd. Yeah, well, absolutely, because it doesn't always happen, ladies and gentlemen. Some of the ships I perform on, and I'm not allowed to mention any names, Carnival, they're not as classy as this. They don't have the class. I'll give you an example. I was on one of those ships recently. I was in the restaurant. I said to the sommelier, "What type of wine do you serve?" And he said, "Both." I was looking through the menu. I said to the waiter, "What's the goose like?" And he thought for a minute and he said, "It's like a duck, but bigger." It's not. I saw one of the crew members vacuuming the carpet in the corridor, and his boss said, "Don't forget to do the carpet in the elevators." He said, "What, on every floor?" That's what they're like. And I had the most bizarre experience. I finished my late show the night I was working, went back to my cabin, just getting ready for bed, brushing my teeth, and I suddenly heard a key going into my cabin door. I thought, who's that? And I opened the door, and I'll be polite here, there was a man outside, he'd had a few drinks, and he looked at me and he said, "That's not my cabin, is it?" I said, "No, it's mine, I live here." He said, "I'm so sorry," and he wandered off. I carried on getting ready for bed. 20 minutes later, I heard another key going in the door. Who's that? Opened the door, same guy stood there, but now he's got 20 minutes more Jack Daniels inside him. He is swaying like an IKEA wardrobe. He looked at me, he said, "That's you again?" I said, "I live here, it's my cabin." He said, "I'm really sorry, you'll never see me again," and he staggered off. I got into bed, just about to nod off to sleep, and I heard another key. Well, this time I was furious. I got up, I threw the door open, same guy stood there, looked at me, he said, "God, have you rented every cabin on this ship?" So, what else can I tell you? I am travelling on my own this week. Sometimes my wife accompanies me, but this week, unfortunately, she can't be with me, which is a shame. I must tell you, my wife is the most beautiful girl that I could get. And I'll tell you what, my wife is absolutely perfect, except, according to her mother, she has dreadful taste in men. Apart from that, and I'm sure we have some. Do we have some married people in today? Men, do you remember when you first started going out with your first girlfriends? And the first time you ever told a girl that you really, really loved her? And it's frightening, isn't it? It's scary. You're scared that you might get laughed at. Or thrown out of the strip club. Didn't happen to me, obviously, but it could happen. And one good thing about my wife not being with me is if I'm in the buffet or the restaurant and I order fries, every fry on that plate is mine. I'm with you on that one, brother. My wife will never order fries, ever. I order fries, they arrive, she looks. Ooh, you've ordered fries. Yes, I have. May I try one? Yes, you may. Her fork is like a cobra's tongue. Every fry gone. And then she'll say, do you think those fries were fattening? So, not for me, I never had any. And she gets, if she's on a ship, she does get a little bit weight conscious. She said to me, she'll say anything, she'll say, do I look too fat to you? Well, I'm a husband. I know the answer to that. No, of course you don't look too fat. Period. She asked me the other day, I wasn't concentrating. She said, do I look too fat to you? I said, no, of course you don't. Comma. You look just fat enough. That was a long night in the divan household, let me tell you. And she's recently taken up Feng Shui, which is the ancient Oriental art of teaching a man to put the toilet lid back down. We're doing something okay, we're okay. And I had a very strange experience before I left to join this beautiful ship. I was clearing out my garage at home, just sorting things out. And this is awful. I came across a gift I was supposed to give my grandchildren last Christmas. Isn't that a shame? Isn't that awful? And they would have loved that kitten. What? It's just a joke. It was a puppy. Anyway, so, I sense a certain frostiness in the air now, ladies and gentlemen. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I woke up last Tuesday after a particularly good New Year's Eve party. Well, I like a drink. I was born in a small fishing village called Dingle. Do you know it? It's in the far west of Ireland. Then when I was about 6 months old, my entire family moved to a place in the far east of Ireland called England. And that's why I talk like this. The rest of my family, they all talk, hello there now, how's it going? Oh, there you go, there you go, there you go, there you go. It's like living in Riverdance, I can't tell you. Just... My father, God bless him, my father is 90 years old, right? And you would never believe it, right? He looks a lot older than that. But he's still with it, he's still got all his marbles, he's connected, he's active. I'll give you an example. Recently, him and a few of his elderly friends were having problems with their ears, and our local clinic wouldn't give them the hearing aids they needed. My father organised a protest. Outside the clinic, about 30 of them, all in their 80s and 90s, stood outside this clinic. My father led them. What do we want? Hearing aids! When do we want them? Hearing aids! No prisoners, ladies and gentlemen. But we had a big birthday party for his 90th birthday. It was wonderful. And at the end of the party, a girl in a bikini jumped out of a giant bran muffin. Which he was truly excited about. So it is wonderful. It's I have a lot to look forward to because my father's family are all very, very long-lived, so it bodes well for me. Again, another example. My uncle Paddy did a bungee jump at the age of 87. Yeah, it's impressive, isn't it? Now, sadly, he was killed. Well, the operator said it wasn't their fault. They said they tied the cord so securely around his ankles, but he should have told them about his wooden leg. It's a bit cruel, this show so far, isn't it? They all live a long long time. My uncle Mihal, he was so old, we took him to the Antiques Roadshow and had him valued. But the other exciting thing, the other reason I'm really excited to be here this particular week, my 90-year-old father is with me on the ship this week. Don't applaud. He's not actually in the room at the moment. He's in the casino trying to meet women. But we do go away. We recently, my father and I, went on a boys' weekend away to Barcelona. And have you been to Barcelona? Yeah. You know what it's like. We were in a little bar, my father and I. Every time my father ordered something, the little Spanish waiter was going, "Mañana, mañana." My dad got so fed up. He said, "What's this mañana? What does it mean?" The little waiter said, "Mañana means maybe now, maybe later, maybe tomorrow, maybe never." He said, "Do you have a word in Ireland that means the same?" And my father said, No. He said, "In Ireland we don't have a word that conveys that degree of urgency." He takes no prisoners, I'll tell you. He went to New Zealand. I know we have some New Zealand guests. Yeah, my father went there last year for his holiday, flew all the way on his own, stayed in the hotel the first night, went down for breakfast the next morning. The waiter came over and said, "Good morning, sir, what would you like for breakfast?" And my father said, "I'd love some bacon and eggs." And the little waiter said, "I'm very sorry, sir, we haven't got any bacon." And my father, I swear this is true, he said, "No bacon, no bacon. 26 million sheep in New Zealand." Now this is only funny if you know bacon comes from pigs. Otherwise it doesn't mean anything at all. But they're all like it. I mean, I was at home recently in Dublin and I had a hire car. I got stopped by an Irish traffic policeman. The most laid-back traffic police force in the world. He said, "Do you know you were doing 50 miles an hour in a 30-mile-an-hour zone?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Fair enough, on you go then." Just nice people. My mother, God bless her, she's the same. She's never lost her accent or Irishness. I took her to see Riverdance, the show, and she said, "I don't know." She said, "Do these people really, really love dancing? Or do they just hate floors?" And, some of these I do just for me. And, so I was brought up in London. You can probably tell by the accent. I was brought up in an Irish community in London. I went to the Irish Catholic school with the nuns. You never lose that reaction. The basic belief of Catholicism when I was young was, if it feels good, stop it. But I enjoyed school. I had lovely. Do you have any other Catholics in the room tonight? Yeah. Did you go with the nuns? Yeah. Did you enjoy it? No. Ours were okay. I remember they taught me to pray. I remember one day, I wanted a new bicycle. I was desperate for a new bike. I prayed for a new bike. I prayed. And then I remembered God didn't work that way. So I stole a bike and prayed for forgiveness. I got a prayer and a bike. It was brilliant. And we had great. Do your nuns have great names? Has had great names. Sister Mary Joseph, Sister Mary Olive, Sister Immaculate Conception. We had Sister Margarita. Now we loved her. We used to sprinkle salt around the top of her head. And I was an altar boy. Don't worry, we'll get off this Catholic stuff in a minute. If you don't know this, Jack, were you an altar boy, sir? It's a great job, isn't it? If you don't know, it's an altar boy's job. You have a little silver tray, priests give out communion, and you have to catch anything that might fall. And what I used to do, early morning mass, don't tell anybody I told you, it was freezing cold, middle of the winter. As I went backwards with a little metal tray, I'd rub my feet really hard on the carpet, and I'd build up this huge charge of static electricity. And I'd be under their chin going, "Put it up." Long childhood, I'll tell you. But it was fun. And then one day we were visited by the local bishop. Did you ever get that? Oh, it's a big deal. And I was chosen from the whole school to stand on the stage at morning assembly and ask the bishop a question. I was about maybe 6 years old. And I stood there. The nuns gave me a question. I was petrified. I stood there. All the school children were there, and the bishop walked on. He was a tall man. And he knew I had this question. He said, "Good morning, Kevin." I said, "Good morning, Bishop." He said, "You have a question?" I said, "Yes, I do." He said, "What's your question?" And I froze. I couldn't remember the question the nuns had given me. And he was such a nice man. He tried to help me. He said, "Kevin, what's your question?" And luckily, ladies and gentlemen, inspiration struck. Oh, yes. I looked the bishop square in the eye. I said, "Bishop?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Is it true you can only move diagonally?" Well done, they don't get that on some ships. So, a bit more about myself. Family-wise, I'm the youngest of three. Both my parents are older than me. The family story goes, my oldest sister was born because my mother wanted another baby. And apparently I was born because my mother wanted another gin and tonic. I've had many jobs. Before I got into this job of comedy, up until very recently, I was actually a stunt double for Susan Boyle. I've had many... I can't say that with a straight face. I used to give piano lessons. Now, I can't play the piano, but beginners don't know that. I was a cage fighter. I had to give that up, because some of those hamsters get really vicious. Did all sorts of jobs. I worked in a circus. Now, I didn't do much, but they kept me on for 3 years, because I was the only one that could get the tent back in the bag. And I was a drag racer. Genuinely, I was a drag racer. I gave that up because I got a bit old to be running around London in high heels and a dress. And being caught so often. So, what else can I tell you? The last show I performed, ladies and gentlemen, you might believe this, but you might not. At the end of the show, 10% of the audience were booing me, ladies and gentlemen. Booing me. Yeah. But 90% of the audience were applauding. Now, sadly, it turned out the 90% were actually applauding the 10% that were booing. But I just heard applause. I was happy. We love it. In fact, what about a round of applause for Eric, our cruise director? Isn't he doing a great job? Yeah. Eric's amazing. He's everywhere, isn't he? He's like doing trivia, he's organising things, he's MC, he's incredible. He's like the heartbeat of this ship. To me, the Azamara journey without Eric would be like Hamlet without the balcony scene. Note to self, no more Shakespeare jokes. And he's very clever, I bought some flip-flops before I got on the ship, and I was in the office showing the flip-flops to Eric. I said, "Oh no, look, I can't change them now." I said, "It's too late, they've given me odd sizes, they've given me one large and one regular." And he's so clever. He said, "I think you'll find that's left and right." Well, what I'd like to do now, ladies and gentlemen, if this is okay with you, and I haven't checked this with 54 below at sea, but I think it should be okay. I'd like to teach every lady, you're two young to cool ladies, every girl in the room, I'd like to teach every woman here how to make herself completely irresistible and wildly attractive to any man in the entire world. Are you interested, girls? No. Yes. This is all you have to do, girls, to make yourself irresistible to any man in the entire world. You buy a full-length black dress. On the front of the dress, you sew buttons all over the front of the dress. Now, these buttons won't be very comfortable, but they will make you look exactly like a TV remote controller. Is there a mute button? So I've had a good day today. I met the executive chef, the guy who's responsible for all the wonderful food we eat. And I said, "Listen, I'm fascinated by food. Tell me, how do you prepare the chickens?" He said, "With complete honesty, we tell them right from the start they're not going to make it." Because it's a difficult job. Can you imagine cooking for this many people? I mean, it's hard. A friend of mine was a chef on a ship, and to speed things up, he bought himself, you know the electric knives? He bought the electric knife. And he was carving a piece of meat with the electric knife, and he cut all his fingers off. Oh, I know. They rushed him to the hospital, doctor examined him. He said, if you'd have brought them with you, I could have sewed them back on. He said, I couldn't pick them up. Listen to this. Today, I was walking around the top deck, and a man came past me, and he was like that. He was like that. And I said to one of the crew, who's that? He said, that's the skipper. You should have done that. The last ship, I love walking, you see. The last ship I was on, I was walking around the deck, and I was actually walking behind the captain, the staff captain, and the chief engineer. And they were having a discussion, and I could hear them because the wind was blowing back. And I don't want to be indelicate here, but they were talking about making love. And the chief engineer said, well, making love is 70% work and 30% pleasure. And the staff captain said, no, you're wrong. Making love is 65% work and 35% pleasure. And the captain said, you're both wrong. Making love is 60% work and 40% pleasure. And just then there was a little crew member walked past, a little Filipino guy, and he said, excuse me, sirs, can I say something? I said, of course you can. He said, gentlemen, I have to tell you, making love is 100% pleasure. And the captain said, well, how do you know that? He said, well, if there was any work involved, you'd have me doing it. Not this ship, it wasn't this ship. So, I think you've probably guessed by now, I don't know, I'm not the best comedian in the world. But I am the best in my price range. It's very important. And money doesn't even mean anything to me lately. I don't do this job for the money. I do it because I love travelling, I love entertaining people. I don't need the money. I'm quite independently wealthy, thank you very much. Now, sadly, at the moment, all of my cash is tied up in my parents' house. Ladies and gentlemen, you should be ashamed of yourselves for laughing at that. My parents are quite elderly now, and I love them very much. I quite often pop round to visit them, you know, unexpectedly. Boom! But I think I could be quite, I am very lucky in a lot of things. Recently, listen to this, recently I came second in a Brad Pitt lookalike competition. Yeah, thank you very much. Now, a Japanese man won the competition. But I'm not bitter. I also recently placed third in a competition to find British Airways' most travelled passenger. Because in one calendar year with British Airways, I had travelled 96,000 miles. Now, ironically, the competition was won by my luggage. Just gone that extra mile, you know? So I have other strings to my bow. I recently went on a course where I learned the meaning of every single family or surname in the entire world. And if it's okay with you, I'd like to demonstrate this, if I may. So a gentleman sat right here on the end of this line. Good evening, sir. That's you there. So good evening. Where are you from? Spain. Okay. Okay. What do you do for a living?
Travel.
You travel? Good man. I like you. ¿Dónde en España? Ah, vale, vale. Okay. So, did you used to work? Well, you see, I have to ask, because I said to the gentleman last week, what do you do? There's not an interview, you can be quiet now. Pardon, lo siento. You won the lottery! Wow! That's fantastic. I thought that yesterday, in Salalah yesterday. I thought, I just need to win the lottery and I could buy a house here. I just need those 3 numbers. And it would be a take of, which lottery did you win? El Gordo?
No, in Flaco.
In Flaco. Flaco. Tico. It's the opposite from the Gordo. Oh, well. It's good. We should never started with him, to be honest with you. It's sort of getting a bit... Well, good. But I said, on the last shift, I said to the guy, what do you do for a living? He said, I'm a roofer. I said, that's be a great job in the summer. I said, what do you do in the winter? He said, I slide off. I paid for that that gag, I'm going to use it. And I got fired from my last position. I was fired. I worked in an optometrist selling eyeglasses. And this really ugly man, oh, he was ugly. And he walked in and said, my wife needs glasses. And I said, you're not kidding, are you? So those guys have said any name throughout the entire world, any family name. So if you tell me your family name, your surname, second name, I'll tell you where it derives from, what it actually means. So your family name is? Garcia. Is there anybody called Smith? Because no, Garcia, it's a Spanish name, as you're obviously well aware, and its original meaning is attractive or good-looking. That was the original meaning of the name Garcia. That's perfect. What's your first name? Thomas. Well, that means not very. That was going so well, Thomas, for a brief minute, wasn't it? So I do apologise. There's a lovely lady in the front here. Good evening, ma'am. Where are you from? Yes, you. Bless you. San Francisco. Hey. What's your first name? Eura. And can I call you Eura? Yes. When? She's backtracking, Thomas. She's backtracking. No, because you all know this, Thomas knows this, you all know this. Certain questions you should never ask a lady. I mean, because the last time the lady sat there, I said to her, what's your name? She said, Chantel. And I said, well, if you won't tell me, I can't do the trick. So it's as simple as that. And on that other ship I was telling you about, the one I can't say the name of, I said to the lady, what's your name? And she said, Wilma. I never said a word. Half the audience stood up and went, Wilma! I swear that is true. And I'm not having a go, because I love the Flintstones, Europe. I love the Flintstones. I don't know if you know this, they've just released a new Flintstones movie. Did you know that? Yeah, and they trialled it, where you've been, they trialled it in the United Arab Emirates, which is true. And apparently, Dubai don't like it. But Abu Dhabi do. There's a certain question you should never ask a lady. You should never ask a lady how old she is. So, you're... How much do you weigh? Thomas, she's like you on that second question. Nothing. So it is, I actually, I joined the ship yesterday in Salalah. Yes. No, this is true. I flew in, and ironically, in Arabic, the word Salalah actually means welcome. So, but no, I landed at Salalah Airport at noon, which surprised the guys in the control tower, because I was driving a Prius at the time. But hello, there's 2 seats here if you want. If you're brave, you can sit right in the front. No, I don't blame you, I wouldn't either. Well done. So you sit there. And Salalah Airport, you had to see it, it was the oldest airport I've ever seen in the world. Even the runway was cobblestones. It was like... I got in the line for the immigration. Now this is the 5th ship I've joined in Salalah in the past few weeks, because this is where they are at this time of the year. I'm in the line waiting, I wander backwards and forwards. I eventually get to the front, and the guy's working away, and I recognise him. It's the same inspector that's inspected my papers on the previous 4 occasions. So he's working away, and he looked up, and he recognised me. And he said, it is a you again. Now, why he had an Italian accent, I don't know. I said, yes, it's me again. He said, you know the procedure, that room over there, full naked body strip search. I was furious, I lost my temper. I said, look, the last 4 times I've searched you. I volunteered for the strip search last week, and then I was told the duty-free shop wasn't the place for it, but anyway. There's a great sign, as you leave Salalah Airport, it's true, there's a big sign above the door that said, leave by exit only. We don't need that, do we? If we see wall, door, wall, that's that middle option every time, isn't it? Otherwise, you choose either one of those, so you're going to... I saw a sign on a wall in London about a month ago that said, "Are you illiterate?" Thomas, I think we read too many signs. Do you agree? We read too much into it. I bought some deodorant. You know the spray deodorant, the aerosol kind? I bought some of that, put it on, read the can. I was petrified. It said, "Danger, warning. Contents inflammable. May explode." I don't know, I've got it under both arms now. I was walking down the road on a hot sunny day. I regained consciousness on the ground. There's a crowd round me. "What's wrong with him? What's wrong with him?" "I don't know. He doesn't smell." I read too much. I saw a bumper sticker a month ago. It said, "So many cats, so few recipes." Start the tender. That's awful. Okay, I'm sure. Do we have some cat lovers in? Yeah. Of course we do. Any dog lovers? Yeah. You see, they both taste the same to me. I don't really. No, I'm joking. I love pets. I have a dog. I have a border collie. Yay. Now, he only comes home for the school holidays. I've actually got a German Shepherd, Alsatian, big dog, and he's not been very well. And I went to the veterinarian. The veterinarian gave him some tablets to give. Have you ever had to give tablets to a dog that doesn't want to take them? It's really hard, isn't it? And he told me what you have to do is get the mouth, force the mouth open, put the tablet in, hold his mouth shut until he swallows it. I know it's hard. So I tricked the dog. Come on, boy. Come on, it's a good dog. There's a good dog. And I got his mouth, and I opened it, and I put the tablet in, and I held his mouth shut for about 45 seconds. He's going, "Arr, arr." I let him go. I said, "You bad dog, go and sit in that corner, sit in that corner." And he sat there for about a minute going, "Arr, arr," and then he went, "Arr." The tablet wasn't even wet. It's like a magic trick. There should have been another dog in a leotard going, "Da-da." But if you have kids, and I'm sure most of you have kids, you have to buy pets to teach them life, death, discipline. We bought a hamster. Had the hamster about a month, started to lose all its hair, it was going bald. And my wife said, "We'll have to take him to the veterinarians." I said, "Wait a minute, the veterinarian charges £100 a visit. We paid £5 for that." I said, "Let's take him to the forest." Born free, that's free. We bought a budgerigar. Big-headed thing, budgerigar. Sat on the perch all day. "Who's a pretty boy? Who's a pretty boy?" Fell off the perch backwards, knocked himself out, and broke his leg. Oh, no, it's funny, but I knew what to do. I got a drinking straw. I gave him mouth-to-beak resuscitation. Now, he didn't get any better. He got bigger. And I got 2 matchsticks, I made 2 splints, mended his broken leg. I said, "Go and play with your bell." He went, "Thank you very much." And he hobbled across the sandpaper like this. Well, I know now that matchsticks were a mistake. I feel guilty now. But you do, if you have kids, you have to have pets. And we did. We had a cat. Do you have any cat owners in? Yeah. Cats are lovely, and cat owners always say the thing, "Oh, my cat's so clever. So clever. He catches birds and mice and brings them home, brings them through the cat flap, lays them at my feet and says, 'I brought you a gift.'" That cat's not saying that. That cat's saying, "Could you cook this for me, please?" You get hair all over your clothes, the cats, you can solve that. What you do is you get some scotch tape, right, and you wrap it around the cat so it can't move. And I'll give you a clue. If you go to the gym or you go running and you keep fit, this is a little tip for you. You know your running shoes get a bit odorous. If you put kitty litter in the shoes, it takes away the smell. Unless you own a cat. Doesn't quite work then, to be honest with you. Some people love. Do you know who really loves cats? This will surprise you. This will surprise you a lot, I think. Thomas, this will surprise you. Really, really, and I read it in the newspaper, so it must be true. Pope Francis. loves cats, absolutely loves cats. I saw a huge headline that said, Pope Francis is a catoholic. I thought that's taking it a bit too far, Francis, really, but anyway. So did you enjoy Muscat the other day? Yeah, Muscat's nice. I like Muscat. I was there about 2 weeks. I tried to help the local economy. I brought a fridge magnet. Well, I say I brought a fridge magnet. The guy had a sign that said, buy one, get one free. Well, I only wanted one, so I took the free one. And I had a lovely time. I was down by the side of the water, and I looked in the water, and I could see a bottle bobbing about in the water with a cork in the top, and there was a piece of paper rolled in a tube inside the bottle. And I got a stick, and I managed to get this bottle over, and I took the cork out, and I got a smaller stick, and I put it in the bottle, and I wound it round, and I got this piece of paper out, and I unrolled it, and I read it, and it said, you have no new messages. A bit of a disappointment, really. Then I went for a walk outside of the town. I walked too far. I realised I'd walked too far when I passed a pineapple. Yes, very uncomfortable that was. You're a bit too quick, you people. But it was lovely, and I was recognised. I got recognised by a couple who were there, and they said, aren't you Kevin, the comedian that works on the ships? I said, yes, I am. They said, can we get a photograph? I said, of course you can. I put my arm around the woman like that. I said, no, can you take a photograph of us, of the mosque? Because I'm not famous, ladies and gentlemen. I know I'm not famous. I know I'm not famous. Let's be honest, you've never heard of me, have you? No. Well, you could have paused for a second. I don't know. I tell you how unfamous I am. Recently I was appearing in a big theatre in London. I had to share a dressing room with a performing monkey. That's how down the ladder I am. In fairness, the theatre manager came backstage and said, I'm really sorry about this. I said, that's okay, you know, these things happen. And he said, I wasn't talking to you. And I'll tell you what happened. It was the late show, it was about this time of night, and there was a guy sat right where you're sat, so that the guy I was talking to earlier. What's your name? And sleep. There was a guy, he was sat right there. The guy sat right there. Go on. Michael, there's a guy sat right where you are, Michael. Thousands of people in the theatre. Halfway through the show, his cell phone rang. Now, we've all had that happen by mistake, haven't we, Thomas? You've had that? You switch it off, don't you? Or you look at the person next to you and go... This guy took the call in the middle. Hello? Yes, it's me, yes. It's got a comedy show. Not really. That's what so I travel the world. I live in Great Britain. I consider myself British nowadays, really. Do you have any British guests? Yay! Yay! They're very quiet. Yes, we are. Please don't pick on us. Please don't pick on us. We used to rule the world, Europe. Ruled the world. We ruled the world. Gave it all away. Kept the Falkland Islands. Penguins. We kept Gibraltar. Monkeys. We've gone from an empire to a children's petting zoo. Have the United States of America? Love you guys. We are so proud when you choose to visit us. So, can I share one thing with you from everybody in the United Kingdom to everybody in the United States? Just share this one thing with you. The word is aluminium. We haven't got a clue what you're talking about when you say aluminium. I said this last week, and after the show, a man came up to me, he was massive. He was from Arkansas. He was the biggest man I've ever seen in my life. He said, hey man, I just love your British accent. And I said, well actually, it isn't an accent, it's just how words sound when they're pronounced properly. Oh, how we laughed. The swelling's going down now, though, you can hardly see it. I have still got the headache, I'm trying to get rid of the headache. I'm using the Chinese thing with the needles, what's it called? Heroin, that's it. And we have some Australians. We love you guys. You guys are the most patriotic people in the whole world. Nobody loves Australia like you people do. Did that sound rude? Did that sound... I'm terribly sorry. I live in London now. I live in a rather nice area of South London, called Brixton. Yes, thank you, British guests. I could have got away with that, they don't know. They call it a working class area, Michael. I don't know why nobody works. It's the sort of place you pay the rent 2 weeks running, the police come round and see where you got the money from, that kind of place. Yeah, so I went out to work, honestly, and but there's some nice people to it. It can be a bit rough. It's the sort of place that makes George Orwell look like an optimist. It's it didn't get Shakespeare, don't try Orwell. We get the Jehovah's Witnesses come around, which is nice, I like that. Do you get those where you live? Yeah. Yes, they're lovely, aren't they? I had 2 come to visit me about a month ago, 7 o'clock on a Saturday morning. I can't tell you how pleased I was. And they said, good morning, we're Jehovah's Witnesses. I said, good morning, come in. They came in. I said, sit down. They sat down. I said, look, it's very early. I said, would you like a cup of tea? And one of them said, yes, please. And I got them both a cup of tea. I said, now tell me, this Jehovah's Witness thing, what's it all about? And one of them said, I don't know, we've never got this far before. So I have some lovely neighbours. I have one neighbour who's half Irish, half Jewish, just drinks unleavened Guinness. I like him. I've got an Indian neighbour from Mumbai. He's lovely. I said, do you believe in arranged weddings? He said, yes, I do. He said, I went to a wedding once that wasn't arranged. Absolute chaos. I've got a Russian neighbour, a lady. And some people say Russian ladies are very hard ladies. I don't think they are. I think inside every Russian lady, there's another smaller Russian lady trying to get out. And I've been having a romantic affair with one of my neighbours. Now, please don't worry, I'm not going to suddenly become an off-colour, rude comedian, because Eric warned me. He said, you're on this beautiful ship. He said, don't be crude. Remember, cleanliness is next to godliness. Which is rubbish, because I looked it up in a dictionary, and goggles is next to godliness. Cleanliness is next to cleavage and claustrophobia. Look it up yourself. So I'm having this affair. She's absolutely beautiful. Her name's Bridget. She comes from Dublin in Ireland. And she weighs about 28 stone, which is about 345 pounds. Oh, she is a big girl, but she's so beautiful. She really is. I saw her. I said, you are beautiful. I said, you are a big girl. And she said, tell me something I don't know. I said, salads taste good? You try and help. She came round the other week, she said, I can't see you anymore. I said, I'm behind the door. She's very trendy, very fashionable. Just had a tattoo done. Just here on her left breast. The first time I saw her with no clothes on, she turned round. She had a big red poppy tattooed on her bottom. I said, why have you got a poppy tattooed on your bottom? She said, that's in memory of those that have died at the front. She said to me, you don't have to worry about making me pregnant. My husband's had a vasectomy. Which there is no shame. My own father had one. As soon as I was born, apparently. He went to our local doctor. He said, I have far too many children. You have to do something about it. And the doctor said, it's very difficult because you're Irish Catholic. You're not really supposed to do things of that nature. But go away and come back, and I'll think of something, right? So I'll just put this in here. He didn't say that, obviously. He went away, came back, and the doctor said, I've worked something out. So all you have to do for this vasectomy is get some paper, some very ordinary paper. Roll it into a very, very tight tube, as tight as you can possibly get it. Fill it full of gunpowder, dynamite, he said. Put a 10-second fuse in one end, stick it in your ear, light the fuse, count to 10, and you will have a vasectomy. Father said, no. He said, it'll work. He came home, he got the paper, tight tube, filled it full of gunpowder, dynamite, 10-second fuse. How the heck would that give me a vasectomy? Stick it in the ear, light the fuse, count to 10. Here we go. Light the fuse. 1, 2, 3. Thank God that's hot. 4, 5, 5, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming. You've got a fantastic night. Good night and God bless you. Thank you. 54 Black Sea. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Crazy Cabaret! Come on, take another bow, Kevin. Let me hear you, ladies and gentlemen.